Alright family, welcome back. So today I want to talk about the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, pros and cons. And it's really like a form of student loan forgiveness, and here's my take on it. In this video, I'm going to break down how it works because I read through all the criteria, and while it seems very simple and easy to follow, it's actually pretty hard to implement. So I encourage you to watch till the end of this video because you should really ask yourself, is this something I want to do? Because I don't think it's for everyone. You have to have some really specific conditions that you think you will meet in order to really make this happen. Otherwise, you'll fall into a trap. So if you don't want to waste your time, money, and stress out on this stuff, then please, I encourage you to watch till the end of this video. But other than that, please make sure to like this video and subscribe. And once you've done that, we can head on over to the video. So let's talk about this Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. If you are employed by the federal, state, local, or tribal government, or a not-for-profit organization, then you can be eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So the PSLF program forgives the remaining balance on your direct loans balance after you have made 120 monthly payments under a qualifying repayment plan while working full-time for a qualifying employer. So if you haven't realized already, 120 months is 10 years. So that's the first trap. But otherwise, let's talk about qualifying for the PSLF criteria if you're actually interested in going on further with this Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So there's really 5 points in this criteria that really applies to the PSLF program, and you need to satisfy all of them. The first point is that you need to be employed by a federal, state, local, tribal, or not-for-profit organization that is tax exempt under Section 501c3. The second point is that you need to work full-time for these organizations or agencies. These organizations or agencies are what are known as qualifying employers. If you are a full-time volunteer at AmeriCorps or the Peace Corps, then those are also known as qualifying employers under the PSLF program. So if you're wondering, if you're volunteering and you're not getting paid, how are you going to make those monthly payments to the repayment plan? Well, AmeriCorps or Peace Corps, they'll actually pay that for you, pay a lump sum for you or something like that, and then you would actually have that balance on your loan balance getting taken off by the amount that they paid as a lump sum. However, personally, I think this is a big edge case, so you should talk to your human resources if you're in that situation. So we talked about what qualifies for the PSLF program. Let's talk about what doesn't qualify for the PSLF program. So labor unions, partisan political organizations, for-profit organizations, including for-profit government contractors, they do not qualify for the PSLF program. So let's say you are a contractor for an employer that is employed by a qualified employer. So you're working with the middleman, with your employer who isn't a qualified employer, but the person that they're employed by is a qualified employer. In that case, you do not count for the PSLF program. It doesn't work out. You have to be working directly for the qualified employer in order for this to count. So in that case, what I suggest you do is probably to ditch that employer that doesn't count and go to the qualified employer and say, do you need my services? Can I be hired by you directly because I can qualify for this PSLF program? So just a tip for you there. Well, let's talk about the definition of full-time. So full-time, according to the PSLF program, means that it's the employer's choice to define what full-time is, or 30 hours per week, whichever is greater. So the minimum amount of work hours that you're looking at is 30 hours. So the third criteria is that you need to have direct loans, or you need to consolidate all your federal student loans into a direct loan. So loans from William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program qualifies for the PSLF. Non-qualifying loans include the Federal Family Education Loan, which is the FEAL program, and the Federal Perkins Loan, which is the Perkins Loans program. So if you have either of these loans and you're kind of worried because these loans aren't qualifying loans and that you can't pay them back, you can't have them forgiven, then don't worry because these loans can actually, you might have the chance to be able to roll them and consolidate them into a direct loan. So basically, if you are able to consolidate them into a direct consolidation loan, then these loans that are non-qualifying may be eligible for the PSLF program. So they may be paid off by or forgiven by the PSLF program. So if you have student loans by private lenders, then I'm sorry, but these loans do not qualify for the PSLF program. So word of warning on the consolidated loan, you know that you need to make 120 payments in order for the loan to be forgiven. So what you do is when you make that new consolidated loan, the payments that you make into that loan are the only ones that are counted. The loans that you have paid off before it was consolidated, those do not count to the 120 number. So again, only the payments that you have made into the new consolidated loans are counted in that 120. So my tip here is if you're considering the PSLF program and if you're already in it and if you're going to consolidate your loans, and all the loans that you're going to consolidate into your new direct consolidation loan, don't pay those loans off. Actually, just save your money so that when you start paying the new payments for the 120 payments, then you start paying those loans, because those loans will be consolidated. So even whatever amount that you have here, that's going to be forgiven if you're going to do the whole 120 month payment. So remember, payments done before the consolidation don't count to the 120. So the fourth criteria is to repay your loans under a income-driven repayment plan. So for these plans, they base your monthly payment based on your income. And these are the payment plans that do not qualify for PSLF. The standard repayment plan for direct consolidation loans, the graduated repayment plan, the extended repayment plan, and the alternative repayment plan. And the fifth and last criteria is, like I said before, you need to make 120 qualifying payments. Qualifying payments are made after October 1st, 2007, and they must be made under a qualifying repayment plan. The full amount that is due on your bill must be paid, and this must be paid no later than 15 days after the due date. And you still have to be employed full-time by a qualifying employer. So you have to meet that criteria in order for a payment to be qualified. And I think that's pretty hard because 15 days after the due date would probably be difficult for a lot of people. And you also have to be employed full-time by a qualifying employer for 10 years. So 10 years is a lot of time, and people can trip here and there. So it's pretty much really hard to make those 120 qualifying payments consistently, which is why I think that a lot of people actually fail out of this program. And qualifying payments must be made when you're required to make a payment. You can't make a qualifying monthly payment while your loans are in an in-school status, a grace period, deferment, or forbearance. The good thing is that qualifying payments don't have to be consecutive. That means that you can quit your job, work for an employer that is a non-qualifying employer for a period, and all the previous progress that you've made, all the prior qualifying payments that you've made, you won't lose credit for that. And here's your tip. To ensure on-time payments, make sure you have direct deposit or something set up with your loan service so they could take the money directly out of your account and you don't have to worry about paying it by yourself manually. And the sixth thing are some other things, which is not part of the criteria, but some little things that I've seen that really you should take note of. And the thing is that you can't really pay more than what the payment demands. It won't speed up your loan forgiveness. So let's say that your loan forgiveness repayment is $100 per month. If you pay $1,200, then it will just make it so that you don't have to pay for every single month of the year. Your $1,200 already acts as the full year for the payments. The game literally is, hey, this amount of money for 120 months every single month or 10 years and we'll forgive your loan, which is really hard to do. And here are some interesting statistics. Less than 3% of PSLF applicants are deemed eligible, and 3/4 of them works in government. The average amount forgiven by the PSLF was around $75,000. Now I'm going to name some must-dos. You must fill out all your forms correctly, and you must make sure all your loans are eligible for the PSLF. And finally, the biggest thing is you must keep current with the policy changes, because the Trump administration had tried to throw the PSLF forgiveness program out the window. So here are my thoughts on should you do this. My answer is that if you know that you will be working for the government or something similar, a qualifying employer for 10 years, then yeah, you should do this. But most of us don't know where we're gonna be in 10 years or what's going to happen in those 10 years. I mean, over this last 10 years, 3 of my grandparents died. So did I know that it was gonna happen? No. So you never know what will happen. So this is what makes it so hard. So this loan really is subtle and misleading because all these requirements sound very easy to hit on paper, but in reality, they're very hard to achieve. Honestly, I think you can pay off any loans you have quicker and sooner if you just have the right skills in budgeting, saving, and spending. And if you want those skills, then please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe button, because that's what we talk about in this channel along with passive income. Because who wants to work, right? How I see it is that if you have $200,000 in loans and you make $40,000 to $50,000 per year, then technically it'll take you around 4 to 5 years in order to pay that off. 6 or 7 max if we count taxes and cost of living and all that stuff. All it is just the proper money management of budgeting, saving, and spending. If you have more money coming in than going out, then you would have a lot of money in order to pay off your loans. You really have to think about whether you're going to stay in the same job for 10 years. I mean, I don't think a lot of people nowadays, especially millennials, are going to stay in a government job for 10 years. Most of them will work here and there for 1 or 2 years, 5 years max, and then move on to a separate job. But also think about this. It's a decade. A lot can happen in a decade. You can go back to school, get a new degree, which gets you another job with higher pay. And that higher pay can pay off off all your debt. That could happen. And here's where I wanted to get at. Here's why I think the PSLF is a trap. Because it forces your mindset to focus on this PSLF forgiveness program, to focus on the small amount of money that's going to be forgiven, this part of your loan that's going to be forgiven, but you have to work 10 years. 10 years is a lot of time, and that 10 years can be worth a lot of money. So let's say if you knew at the end of 10 years that you would be making $200,000 per year, but you were focusing on this loan forgiveness program that will forgive $70,000 of your debt. So what would you want to do? Would you want to spend 1 year of your life or 2 years of those 10 years studying for a job that can land you $200,000 per year? Because that would be a better gig than working for the government for 10 years to get your loan forgiven. And this is just a little comic that I found on the internet that really shows this trap that the government has laid out with this forgiveness program. There's a little saying that goes something like this: people usually overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And if that resonates with you, then please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe button, because I want to see you guys watching more of our videos on how to make passive income and get out of debt and all the good stuff. Other than that, I'll see you guys again next time.